Thanks, Chris. What a great set of talks that we just had. Let's gonna keep the energy going in the room. I feel like I am qualified to talk. I'm the founder of Kymanox. We have a really unique business model. All those things on the right, we put all of that together, and it gives us the ability to not just be purveyors of ideal knowledge transfer, but be purveyors of context. So with that being said, I think we need just to go back and understand where we're at. I think of AI as something that you're feeling it right now. And if you're familiar with F1 racing, they cover a lot of distance, they go very fast, but the only thing the driver feels is the acceleration. And so you can think of distance as data, you can think of speed as the internet, which is moving data around. But the acceleration, that's the AI. AI actually generates more data, and in some cases, it's generating context. And so if you don't know F1 racing, just look at this table. For people who had the home PC, it took almost a better part of a decade to get 1 million home PCs going. And then you go down that list, ChatGPT had 1 million users in less than 5 days. So what this culminates to is this pace of change. The pace of change is very high. And so I want to offer kind of 2 OG tools. One of them is a book called Who Moved My Cheese? I can save you from having to buy this book by just studying the title. Your cheese is here today and it's somewhere else tomorrow. Someone's moving your cheese, and the only way to survive is to find where the cheese is. Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time, they analyzed this man more than anyone, and they kept asking him questions. And he said, "What makes you so great?" He's like, "Well, I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck is going." Now, if you've ever watched a hockey game, I have a hard time just tracking the puck. So trying to figure out where the puck's gonna be, that is a gift. But we're getting tools now that can empower us to do that. So AI today, AI tomorrow. I think AI today is phenomenal at low consequence work. So for instance, if we asked AI to write a poem about today's talks, it would do a really great job, and we probably could take the first cut and run with it. If you ask AI to drive you here and guide you to the correct door that was open, it's probably gonna fail miserably at the first cut. And those consequences, especially when you're driving, or if you need to be somewhere on time, are very high. So AI is going to get better, but to what extent, we don't know. And we just know that we need to be ready for that change as it does get better and as it moves into high consequence scenarios. Again, trust me, you're using AI, if you like what you're getting from AI, it's almost always a low consequence environment. So just as an illustration, I asked AI to take this slide and generate a nice slide, and this is what it gave me. So this is Microsoft PowerPoint powered by ChatGPT, and it's called Copilot is the product. This is what I got. I said, you know what, let's roll with that. It's a great example. The other thing that we need to do is we need to understand, as we think about the future, we need to understand the historical concept of life science, and we're in a trust paradigm. So if you go into big biopharma, you'll see that the boardrooms look like this, a bunch of old white men. Sorry, old white men, not meant to be picking on you, and I'm one of you. And why is that the case, and why is that propagating? Well, it turns out in life science, we're making life and death decisions. And it turns out you're brokering trust. You only do business with people you know who you can trust. It turns out, and science has proved this, that old white men know a bunch of other old white men, and that's kind of what you get. So as we advance to the future, there's something amazing. The trust paradigm is actually going to shift, and it's going to shift to the blockchain. And the blockchain, if you're not on the chain, no one's going to trust you. No one's going to do business with you. And this is going to be the great equalizer. So for people that are new to the space, if you're on the blockchain, you're going to get the recognition, you're going to get the trust. There are serious problems. Cryptography, this is the ability to encrypt things. The problem is AI has the ability to decrypt. And so this is going to be a war to keep your data safe and keep it preventing from decrypting. Copyright, we're in an era right now where everyone's just ripping everyone else off. Sam Altman is just feeding books that he didn't write, that he doesn't have the copyright to, into OpenAI. and then it's generating really useful information that he's charging money for, and no one's really calling out the copyright. The lawyers will save us there. And then privacy. Once you can decrypt things, and once you can see everything, your individual privacy is compromised, but also just your privacy as a business. Going stealth, that's gonna be pretty hard to do for a company in 2030. So, today, what are we all chasing? We're chasing the shiny object. What is this shiny object? New chemical entity, new molecular entity. What's going to change is we are going to take some OG drugs that are old, and we're gonna put them together. And that is gonna unlock completely new therapeutic breakthroughs, and they're gonna be right out of the gate safe and effective. How is that gonna happen? The AI is gonna help guide us there. And so that's, I think, I'm using coins, like gold coins, that's a great store of value. So there's a ton of value in the stuff that we already have, and I think it addresses a lot of other things like the cost of medicine. The other thing is, a lot of our doses today are in a vial, and you go to, how do you get it? Well, you take that IV, and that is a pretty archaic way of delivering a dose. Turns out, dose delivery is a mechanism sometimes to avoid a side effect, because you can go to localized delivery. It's not just an auto-injector, which is sometimes replacing an IV. You can do microneedles. You can do a dry powder inhaler. You can do an eyedropper. There's a bunch of ways to do that. And then you can connect it to the phone, and you can actually get feedback on the dose and all the other things that help improve safety and efficacy of a product. And that's game-changing. There's a bunch of things that are merging, the things that are coming together. I'm really excited about all these. They didn't come out right, but you can think of, we don't have a healthcare system in the United States, we have a sick care system. That's gonna merge with wellness. Eastern medicine is based on a different type of science. It's based on observational science. It's kind of poo-pooed upon. But you know what? AI is gonna unravel the observational science and give a Western context to it. And we're gonna start embracing Eastern medicine and combining it with our Western medicine. Diagnosis and treatments are gonna combine with monitoring and ultimately managing outcomes. You're gonna have diagnosis and authorization, and then you have something called continuous authorization. I think GLP-1s is a great example. You could be on a GLP-1 and you can lower your weight, and now what? You're no longer a type 2 diabetic. What, 90% of the time? And so you need to continually authorize to say, do I need all this other type 2 diabetes support or not? Medicines are carbon-based. Our apps are silicon-based. We're gonna be merging carbon and silicon. It's really cool, and that's unlock an enormous amount of value. We could go all the way down this list. I do wanna say that company A getting married to company B, that's merger acquisition, that's going to happen. That's the same as water flowing downhill. The only thing that stops it is the SEC wants to prevent monopolies and mega monopolies. So that'll continue. Okay, the universe is expanding. What else is expanding? These things are expanding. Personalized medicine. So this is, if you're African American, you may have a slightly different liver profile that changed the half-life of the drug in you. And so you're gonna have a personalized dose based on your ethnic background, based on your DNA. That's personalized medicine. Medicine at home, that's the homification of medicine. That's, elderly people, just getting to the doctor, they could get sick, they could fall. We're gonna bring all of that to the home. Accountability, there's gonna be accountability, not only in the system, but the patient. So the patient's gonna be responsible for some of the healthcare. Biome. Did you guys know that your biome, your gut biome, is the primary, immune system? Your immune defense system is your biome. So we're gonna be managing the microbiome, and we're gonna become amazing experts at that. That's going to expand. Certainly, if you talk about biomes, you need to talk about microbial threats and antibiotics. That's gonna be an escalating war. That's not going away, especially with climate change. And then medicine 3.0. This is a term coined by Dr. Peter Attia. This is like moving from reactive care to proactive care. And there's a lot of really amazing things. So all that is expanding, and you're gonna start hearing more about these things as we march to 2030. So just like Justin Timberlake said, bye, bye, bye to NSYNC, there's gonna be some things that we say bye to. We're not gonna be optimizing for lifespan anymore. So I think optimizing for lifespan is just trying to get an extra year in a marginal decade that really no one wants to be living. And so we're gonna be replacing that with health span. which means I can go out and I can do things. I'm mobile. I can experience things. You're not just literally sitting in a hospital bed. So this idea of optimizing for lifespan, that's going to go away. This is Jamie Dimon. He talks about the fiscal cliff. There's another cliff that he also will talk to you about, is our rising healthcare costs becoming unsustainable. So one day, between now and 2030, somebody's gonna wake up and say, this isn't gonna work, and we're gonna have to rebuild the system. This was just in the news a couple days ago. This is Mark Cuban. He was just trashing PBMs and really made a great argument how this is a middleman adding no value and actually just adding cost to the system. So bye, PBMs, pharmacy benefit manager. The kids aren't even safe from this. They're gonna lose things. They're gonna lose simple Simon. Things are not gonna be simple anymore. It's this idea that you walk in with one problem, you get one diagnosis and one treatment, total bullshit. That's not what's gonna happen. By 2030, your doctor, the first thing your doctor is gonna ask you, how are you sleeping? What's your stress level? Sleep is the foundation of health. Your stress level, that is a multiplier for any symptom you have in a disease state. So we're gonna get way better there. Okay, changing gears here. When you pick a picture of Jeff Bezos, I think it's always hard. Do you pick the nerdy one when he's starting up Amazon, or you pick like the buff Bezos, who's like on the mega yacht? So I feel like this was like in between the two, and I feel like it's a safe choice. He asks his Amazon leaders, he says, we're gonna build Amazon for the future, for 2030, and we're gonna build it on based on things that are not gonna change. So what's not gonna change? What's not gonna change it? We gotta make shit, and then we gotta get it to places. Now, there may be more robotics, and there may be more AI helping us with the logistics, but we still are gonna be moving that around. The FDA is not going away. The FDA may get more efficient, maybe the timelines speed up, that's great, but you're still gonna require FDA approval, you're gonna have to go through a process. The people, we're not going away. So as soon as you walk into the clinic, you're now a patient. So patients aren't going away. If anything, they're gonna go up. Patients participating in clinical trials may get smaller, and we'll be able to feed that data into models, and you'll be able to do approvals with less human testing, but human testing is not going away. And then deciders. There still will be a human in the loop. AI cannot be, like I said, the high consequence stuff, we're always gonna keep a human in the loop, and there's a lot of thought leadership on that. I don't think you want like autonomous nuclear weapons. That's like a bad idea, so let's try to not do that. United States, so I know we're talking about China, so everything that we had heard previously is true, but I'd also like to say, like, Jamie Dimon, the world's #1 banker, is making trillion-dollar bets on the United States. Number one, we're gonna be spending the most in healthcare, hopefully for better outcomes. We're gonna be growing the most, and we are the bedrock of innovation. So right now, we're getting our butts whipped by China, but that's just gonna be our wake-up call. We just like World War II is a wake-up call, we're ready. Okay, so this is a little example by Precept. So what am I talking about? These are 3 companies that have unwound their cell therapy programs and just flushed billions of dollars down the toilet and says, we're not gonna do this anymore. This is just in the news. The current state of cell therapy is all this. It turns out that the cost of goods, which was ultimately the biotech promise, right? You can make a relatively expensive, say, monoclonal antibody, and then sell it for hundreds of times the price of cost of goods. And you can recover your R&D very quickly. For cell therapy, the cost of goods is so high, just that math blows up. So we have some serious problems. By 2030, we're gonna have not just evidence for the FDA, we're gonna have evidence for the payers. There's going to be intense manufacturing discipline, and we're gonna actually achieve low cost of goods. And then ultimately, we will not be having these patients where one payer pays $2 million for a therapy, and then that person moves into some other system. So you're gonna lease the benefit. So instead of buying the therapy, you're gonna lease the benefit of the therapy. And that'll all be in play by 2030, that's where we're going. Okay, there's a dark side to AI. If you go into the interwebs, or if you just spend some time on YouTube and listen to podcasts, you'll get data scientists talking about AI driving unemployment to 99%. You'll talk about the destruction of the earth about 30 different ways, and end of civilization. And yes, some of that is true, but what holds me together is this guy, Simon Sinek. And he's got this great quote: greatness is only possible with an unwavering belief that the future is bright. So if you are a leader in here, you have to be an optimist. If you're not, step aside, let another optimist take care. Now, optimism with realism, that's what we're going for, but we just have to be mindful of that. And then, what is this other tool that I can give you besides the Who Moved My Cheese and Wayne Gretzky? Is context. Context is king. And those little nuances of things, if you can practice there, you're going to be adding value. And there's a T up here. It's kind of a weird shaped T. You can see the top part of the T is broadening. And that is a symbol that breadth is a new depth. And so being broad across many, many different multidisciplinary areas and still being smart, that's going to be the people who win. The other thing is, life science has rewarded the dot makers for so long. For the last 20 years, dot makers have been rewarded. Now it's the dot connectors that are going to get rewarded. And then ultimately, what is winning? So business, life, all of it's kind of an infinite game. I think our lives are finite, but our legacies are infinite. And so what is winning? Well, winning is an opportunity to continue to play. So we're in October, it's baseball season, we're in the World Series, and a lot of the baseball teams, the victory was just making it to the playoffs, continuing to play. So please set that as your standard for winning, and look forward to seeing you guys in 2030.